talk about the spirit of Dunkirk as an example of how the British managed to turn defeat into victory. The expression comes from the early summer of 1940, when British and French armies fighting the Germans in Belgium and northern France were forced right back to the English Channel. Thousands of men were taken prisoner, but many were evacuated from Dunkirk. Although they got home and many were able to return again to fight in France, the real victory at Dunkirk belonged to the Germans. Film Century looks at two versions of the spirit of Dunkirk. One from British films, which managed very quickly to turn the pictures of retreat into a story of victory. The other version of what happened at Dunkirk comes from the German side. Their cameramen were able to stay in the front line of fighting and get unique pictures of the battle. Victory in the West was made to show the power and might of Hitler's Germany. The people who made this film could use pictures of British soldiers because they had access to captured British news films.
Mit dem Aufhängen der Wäsche an der Siegfried Line, wie sie den Westwall nannten, wird es nun nichts mehr. Die Engländer zerstören rücksichtslos das Land ihrer ehemaligen Waffengefährten. Gleichzeitig schreitet unaufhaltsam der Angriff zu Lande vorwärts.
From the British point of view, this is the horror of surrender. We see dead bodies lying untended, abandoned equipment, and the debris of an army in retreat. It is unthinkable that these pictures would have been shown in Britain.
Am 4. Juni fällt Dunkirchen. Das nannten die englischen Sender einen siegreichen Rückzug. 24 Kriegsschiffe und 66 Transporter kann die deutsche Luftwaffe bei Abschluss der Schlacht als vernichtet melden. In 24 Tagen wurden 2 Staaten zur Kapitulation gezwungen, Frankreichs Stoßarmeen vernichtet, das britische Expeditionskorps gefangen oder vom Kontinent verjagt und mit der Kanalküste die Basis zum Kampf gegen England gewonnen.
The British newsreels presented a completely different view of the same retreat from Dunkirk. There was only one newsreel cameraman with the boats which went out to join in the rescue, and he filmed what remained of the British Expeditionary Force coming home.
A curtain of darkness hangs over the coast of Britain. The dark shadow of ships flash their signals to the shore. As dawn breaks, Pathé Gazette's cameraman is on a tiny merchant ship. He is risking his life to bring you the pictures. He is on his way to Dunkirk. Every few seconds he sees other ships returning, ships of all shapes and sizes, manned by sailors and merchantmen of Britain. Wireless operators are at their posts. Each ship is filled with the men of the BEF and of the French army in Flanders. They are on their way home, home from the hell that is Dunkirk. Since these pictures were taken, we have all heard the full story from the Prime Minister of how the Royal Navy, using nearly 1,000 ships, has brought back nearly 350,000 men. Now you are off burning Dunkirk. Now you are to see that evacuation in progress. You will see the Navy in action, Nazi planes overhead. You will see the beaches of Dunkirk under enemy fire, our own guns replying. You will see the calm waters dotted with hundreds of men as they wade or swim out to the ships. Here in pictures is the triumph that turned a major military disaster into a miracle of deliverance. Here in one staggering shot, the Allied armies come out from the shore. That one amazing picture symbolizes the miracle of deliverance, which in the words of the Prime Minister was achieved by valor, by perseverance, by perfect discipline, by skill and by unconquerable vitality. All the might of the German Air Force failed to stop them. We beat them back. We got our armies away. And the enemy paid fourfold for our losses. And now we're on our way home. The ships are gliding into a British port. The men of the BEF are stepping once again onto British soil. The men who were carried out of the jaws of death. For a time also we are playing host to thousands of French soldiers. Let us show them how we feel about the way they fought side by side with us. But the greatest tribute must go to the men of the rear guard. Their job was to fight on until the evacuation was almost complete. They have suffered terribly. They have left behind thousands of dead. They fought their last battle from the water's edge before they dived in and swam out to the ships. Most of them are very dirty and pretty ragged, but they're unshaken and not a bit shy. And now we look to the future. The BEF will be rebuilt under its brilliant commander, Lord Gort. We shall go on to the end. We shall not fail. We shall fight on the seas and on the oceans. We shall fight in the air. We shall fight on the beaches, in the fields, in the streets, and on the hills, as we fought in blazing Dunkirk. And like the men who smashed their way out from the hellish beaches of Flanders, we shall never surrender.
Pathé's newsreel was made under extraordinary circumstances. That single wide shot showing soldiers wading out to safety is all that was filmed by a cinema camera of the actual rescue. The newsreel created Britain's Dunkirk spirit almost overnight. It was only 7 days before it was shown throughout Britain, and it was joined by many other newsreels of a similar type. Within 6 months of the retreat from Dunkirk, British government films had joined the newsreels in expressing a mood of stubborn resistance. There was determination to fight the war through to victory. This government film uses scenes of the aftermath of fighting in France, despite British losses there, as they serve to introduce the moment which the film calls a page of glory, the return from Dunkirk.
At last our soldiers reached the coast. They had fought every inch. They had had no sleep. They were footsore and weary. They crowded onto a beach which offered no cover. They waited their turn once more. And once more, there was no panic. And once more, there was no panic. Until that day, Dunkirk was just a name to us. These boys made it a page of glory.
Notice how the music has changed to a comforting tone, while the pictures reassure us that the ships of the Royal Navy will continue to protect the British Isles from invasion.
250,000 of the best soldiers of Britain were saved from the Nazi grasp. They showed Britain and the world that through all disaster the spirit of defiance flamed still in the hearts of British men. They grinned from the railway carriages. Look at them. The young Berts took their message across our countryside. And their message was this: we went to France young soldiers. We have come back veterans. We bring news of the peril. We bring knowledge of the Nazi way of making war. We bring this sure bet that given equal weapons, we can beat them.
Perhaps the British were able to turn defeat into victory at Dunkirk because the films they made touched human emotions more closely and with less formality than the German films. Here's one example out of many which shows how the story of the little boats sailing out from England to help rescue the BEF has entered folk memory.
Hello, Ferris.
Good morning, madam.
Wait a minute. Well, what's the trouble? Hello, Johnny.
They want her, miss. They've just rung up from the Admiralty. Proceed to Ramsgate for orders. They want every craft on the south coast.
I'm single-handed now. Could you run the engine if I steer?
What, you, miss? But you know what it's for, don't you, miss? I mean, they won't let a woman.
They needn't know. You better get some tin hats from the ARP. Get 3. We'll take Johnny.
Johnny? Oh, he's a bit young, miss. I mean, madam. And simple.
Yes, but he's good in the boat. You want to come, don't you, Johnny?
Okay, Skipper.
Okay.
scenes were filmed in a studio. None of the close-ups is real. But they've been edited with the actual beach scenes at Dunkirk.
Johnny! Johnny! Help over there! Get up there, will you? Any of you seen number 3 Company 4th Division REs?
There are some still on the beach.
Number 3 Company 4th Division REs?
Little boats like the one we've seen in this film ferried thousands of soldiers from the beaches to the big ships offshore. When the heroine in this story finally gets home, she's still looking for her loved one.
I've been looking for you.
Well, here I am.
For Germans, there was a real victory to celebrate in their films of the time. For them, victory at Dunkirk was less significant than the fall of France. Paris, the cultural capital of Europe, was Hitler's ultimate goal in the summer of 1940. Here is the official German newsreel account of Hitler's visit there to inspect the architecture of the city in the early morning while the streets were empty. This remarkable film reminds us that while Dunkirk became a legend in Britain, for the Germans it was just a sideshow compared with the conquest of Paris.
Place de la Concorde. Der Triumphbogen. Trocadero. Ein Blick auf den Eiffelturm. Links vom Führer Professor Speer.